Hello, old friend. Those of you who have been around since the early days of this channel would know that I have a huge soft spot for the ambitious indie team of WayForward and their many franchises. Heck, I owe a lot of my channel's early traction to Shantae and the Pirate's Curse for the Let's Dub series. Do not ask me if I'm continuing it. But tucked away in between the many videos this channel had back over, 10 years ago? God, I'm old. You'll find a couple of short clips of me playing a game featuring a robot girl in a police uniform, or freaking out over a 3DS theme. The game in question was one Mighty Switch Force, a game series I'm sure many of you don't know that well, which begs the question, what is Mighty Switch Force? In today's video, I'm here to take you through 5 bite-sized games that defined my late teen years that I feel deserves the limelight again. Let's switch it up! Mighty Switch Force is the first in its unique sub-series, but the third in a series of Mighty games developed by WayForward, starting with Mighty Flip Champs in 2009 and Mighty Milky Way in 2011, both released on the Nintendo DSiWare store. Now, I've never played Milky Way, but I have played a bit of Mighty Flip Champs Director's Cut for the PS3, and it was decent from what I remember. But we're not talking about those two games. We're talking about the third game in the series that made a name for itself and branched out into its own series. Mighty Switch Force first released on December 22, 2011 as a launch title for the Nintendo 3DS eShop, and was a day one purchase for 15-year-old me. It was a bite-sized adventure that didn't take long to get through, but satisfied my young mind at the time and hooked me with its core gameplay loop. The story is as follows. In the land of Planet Land, the Hooligan Sisters, a ragtag team of criminals, have escaped police custody. HQ calls upon their cybernetic peacekeeper Patricia Wagon to apprehend the criminals and bring them to justice. With the help of Corporal Gendarmer, she'll journey across 16 levels to bring these criminals to justice. The gameplay is simple. You'll be tasked with traversing the various levels of this game as you jump and shoot your way across various landmarks, mowing down enemies with your pellet gun while collecting the 5 Hooligan Sisters in each level. Once you've collected all 5 girls, you'll rendezvous with the Corporal. Once you do so, the level ends. However, that's not all there is to the levels. True to the name of the game, we must discuss the switching mechanic. In each level, there are various types of blocks scattered. With the press of the trigger on your controller, Patty's helmet emits a light and the blocks will switch in and out of existence. What makes this mechanic so interesting is how the levels are structured around it. Each level has various types of blocks, starting out with the simple ones that you use as platforms. But as you progress, the levels will add all sorts of new types. One of the most well-used ones are the launch blocks. Switching the block into existence while Patty is inside of its silhouette will launch her in the direction the arrow is pointing. The levels that are usually built around these are designed like mazes and have stricter par times. More on those later though. Sometimes you'll have to lure enemies to where a block is and switch it to crush them to open gates to progress. Just be careful you're not the one on the other side of those blocks or you'll find yourself meeting a very similar fate. Toward the latter half of the game, the blue and red colored blocks will be introduced. These are the most creative blocks by far, as standing on them while switching will keep their physical presence. They build puzzles around these in ways where you'll have to constantly pick which color or colors you want on screen, and sometimes they'll even throw regular blocks into the mix to make you think more creatively about the switching mechanic. Once you've made it to level 16, you'll have a unique gimmick in which your switch mechanic is on the fritz and hacked by the main antagonist of the game. Blocks will automatically switch every few seconds. You'll have to race to the end of the level as carefully as possible, because 3 hits are all you have to your name unless you pick up floppy disks as health. Waiting for you at the end of the level is the final boss, a giant monster that formed from the chemical the Hooligan Sisters dropped at the beginning of the game that created all the monsters you battle throughout the entire adventure. Shooting its eyeball repeatedly while dodging its attacks will free one of the Hooligan Sisters until you've saved all 5. Deliver the final blow and that's a wrap. Finishing the game will reward you with a shot of Patty removing her police uniform and give you access to a stronger version of her pellet gun that destroys enemies and blocks in a single hit, as well as 5 additional bonus levels that are even harder versions of the gimmicks you've grown accustomed to throughout the journey. The Super Pellet Gun is very helpful for the aforementioned par times. This is where the game really tests your mastery of its level design and gimmicks. Each level has a time at the top of the screen. Your goal is simple: beat the time. You'll have to be fast if you want those par times though. You'll have to know the ideal routes, especially in those maze levels, so that you collect your last hooligan near the Corporal. All 21 levels have par times, and completing them all will reward you with an alternate title screen. Mighty Switch Force is a great game for what it was at the time. A bite-sized puzzle platformer with unique gimmicks, fun levels, a killer soundtrack that we will get into later, and was dirt cheap at launch. But while Mighty Switch Force was great, its remake was even better. At its launch, Mighty Switch Force was a 3DS exclusive title. By 2012, Nintendo's next home console, the Wii U, had been released, and with it, support for the eShop was also added. Obviously, WayForward could have easily just ported the original game to Wii U and nobody would bat an eye. But what I was not prepared for was to see them release an enhanced remake of the game. 2012's Mighty Switch Force Hyperdrive Edition features beautiful hand-drawn graphics akin to WayForward's other work at the time like DuckTales Remastered and Shantae Half Genie Hero. Graphics don't make a game, but when I say the glow-up is extreme, I mean it. The hand-drawn sprites do this game, well, justice. Patty & Co. have never looked better. This is hands down the best looking game in the series to date, and to jump ahead real quick, I wish the sequel had gotten this treatment too. On top of the new graphics, Hyperdrive Edition adds even more content to the game than what was already in the original. On top of having the original 16 levels and 5 bonus levels, the game features double the level count with 21 additional levels, bringing the total to 42. And with the new levels comes new remixes of the original soundtrack, which is a perfect segue to talk about the amazing score this game has. Mighty Switch Force was composed by the legendary Jake Kaufman, who at this point had been composing music for games for over a decade and is still going strong to this day. He worked on a plethora of WayForward titles, like the first 4 Shantae titles, Adventure Time, Regular Show, and of course, Mighty Switch Force. I won't sugarcoat it. While I love his work on Shantae and Shovel Knight, Mighty Switch Force and its sequel are by far my favorite of his work. Kaufman managed to make such fantastic chiptune techno music that has lived in my head for over a decade and a half now. I love his work so much that I bought the vinyl record for the series so that I could always have his work physically. This is going to be the first of 2 gushing segments about the killer soundtrack. Play those jams! The final difference in Hyperdrive Edition comes from completing the original 21 par times. In the original, this got you a different title screen, but this was changed to be your reward for getting all 42 par times. Now, when you get the original 21, your reward is the ability to play as Patty in her gym clothes. A simple addition, but it gives Patty a different look that makes tackling the new levels feel more fresh. You can also unlock Pixel Patty after finishing the first level if you want to go for that retro look. Mighty Switch Force Hyperdrive Edition is a remake that sets out to improve on the original game by adding better graphics, more music, more levels, more unlockables, and gives you the best version of the game you can get your hands on. I would say they did more than succeed in that regard. Hyperdrive Edition is the definitive way to experience the original game. At the time, it was only a few dollars more than the original, so you got more bang for your buck, and it was a great way to hold me over until the following year when the best game in the franchise dropped, Mighty Switch Force 2. Mighty Switch Force 2 released in 2013 for both the Nintendo 3DS and Wii U. Unfortunately, this means the game did not receive a Hyperdrive Edition. However, don't let that deter you from the game. I won't sugarcoat it. Mighty Switch Force 2 is my favorite game in the franchise and a contender for one of my favorite games WayForward have produced. Only second to Shantae and the Pirate's Curse. Patty has traded her blue duds and pellet gun for a red firefighter uniform and a new hose called the Infinity Dowsing Apparatus. I'm just gonna call it the hose. Planet Land has spontaneously started combusting with everything catching fire. It's up to Patty to save the newly reformed Hooligan Sisters and journey across another 16 levels to save Planet Land from burning to ash. Mighty Switch Force 2 is essentially more of the same as the first game. However, the game still has an identity unique to its own. The gameplay still boils down to rescuing the 5 Hooligan Sisters and making it to the Corporal at the end of each level. However, now that you have a hose instead of a pellet gun, the gameplay has changed slightly. Rather than rapid-firing pellets, you now hold the action button down to shoot a torrent of water. It can tear through enemies much faster at the cost of being fired at an arc rather than straight ahead. You'll still be switching blocks around to get through levels, but now you have fire-based hazards to worry about, such as enemies that are constantly burning that you'll guide to wooden blocks to burn them away, enemies that you'll fill with water that will cause them to inflate and explode. That's a bit gruesome. Ovens that will temporarily go out when you shoot them with water so that you can jump on them as platforms. Mud blocks that you'll have to wash away from blocking your way. And the introduction of a brand new block type, the tunnel blocks. When you spray your water into them, they will follow the path that is laid out by the blocks. You'll have to think on your toes with these, as the angle of your water is very important. Sometimes the solid blocks are in the way, and sometimes they can be toggled by flipping the switch. And sometimes they'll be color coordinated with the returning red and blue blocks, now featuring a brand new third color, green, adding a whole new layer to the puzzles. It may seem like very little, but these additions change the game up just enough to keep things refreshing, and it doesn't stop there. The par times return once again. All 16 levels have par times that range from too easy to really testing my patience at times. After finishing the game, you'll unlock the Super Hose. It tears through enemies and mud blocks like they're paper. It can even somehow melt the wooden blocks you need the fire enemies for. But don't ask me how. I don't know. I'm not a firefighter. Your reward for completing all 16 par times is an alternate title screen, like how it was in the original release of the first game. But don't you worry, Hyperdrive fans, you can still unlock the ability to play as Patty in her gym clothes. How you lock her alternative clothes is with the new collectible, Babies. Yes, Babies. Ugly Secret Babies, or USB for short. Each level has a baby hidden in it. You'll need to locate them in each level by searching over different areas. Once you get near them, Patty saves them by kicking them like a soccer ball.
You're safe!
Words cannot describe the guttural laugh I let out the first time this happened. When you collect all 16 babies, you'll be rewarded with Patty's gym clothes, meaning that if you play your cards right, you can tackle the par times in these clothes to make the second run feel more refreshing. I would be insane not to speak once again of the musical genius of Jake Kaufman. The first game's soundtrack was wonderful, and the remixes Hyperdrive Edition brought were also great listens. But listen, when I say the second game's soundtrack is one of the greatest video game soundtracks I've ever listened to, I'm not saying that lightly. 2 soundtracks still has a techno vibe to it, but it goes way more for a bouncy approach to the melodies, making them even more catchy to listen to. Words can't do it justice. You just need to listen to this stuff. After making your way to level 16, you'll be met with another level where the Switch helmet has been hijacked, and you'll be forced to platform to a timer as the blocks switch. It's not as challenging as the previous 2 games take on this gimmick, but you'll still want to be on your toes, especially if you want to collect the baby and par time in the same run. Very doable, but very challenging. Once you make it to the end, you'll be faced with the final boss, which plays similarly to the first game. Attack its eye while dodging flames as it occasionally drops a Hooligan Sister. Once you have all 5, deliver the final blow, and the final boss goes down, ending the game. Mighty Switch Force 2 is a fun game. The puzzles are more creative, the changes to your arsenal add a whole new layer of depth to the way you approach each level, the soundtrack is some of the best music my ears have ever been graced by, and all in all, it's just a stellar game, and a testament to how much love and passion WayForward pours into their games. If I were to ever recommend a game in the series to anyone, let it be this one. The first game is great, and Hyperdrive Edition has more content, but 2's gameplay, presentation, and fun factor are my favorite of the franchise, outside of the obvious upgrade in visuals Hyperdrive Edition got. I love this game so much that I used to come up with concepts for a Mighty Switch Force 3, where Patty was a doctor and had a pill gun that worked like her pellet gun, and a medicine blaster that acted like her hose gun. WayForward, please make more games for this franchise. I need them. Oh, what's that? There's 2 more? Oh great! Let's see what they... I'll keep this brief, as I don't have nearly as much to say about these 2 games. After the release of the second game, WayForward created 2 spin-off games in the Mighty Switch Force series that are a mixed bag. Let's start with 2014's Hose It Down. Mighty Switch Force Hose It Down was originally released as an iOS game before being ported to Steam that same year. The Steam version is how I experienced it. The game reuses assets and music from the second game, and sees the players sliding blocks around on a grid to create a path for Patty to put out fires. Later on, you'll have to rescue the Hooligan Sisters as well. The game features 25 levels, the most since Hyperdrive Edition. But don't let it fool you. These levels can be completed in mere seconds when you know what you're doing. I really don't have much to say about this one. I finished it once in 2014. This was my first time touching the game since then. It's okay for what it is, but even the $3 asking price is too high for this. Moving on. Mighty Switch Force Academy released in 2015 and is currently the most recent brand new game in the series, meaning it's been a decade since we've gotten a new game, and that makes me really sad. WayForward, please. Academy acts as a prequel of sorts, showing Patty's time at the police academy as she uses a virtual reality headset to train, only for the headset to malfunction and traps her inside of the game. Now the player must run through 20 levels doing what Patty does best, saving lives and flipping switches. The first thing you're bound to notice about the game is the camera, now displaying the entire level on a single screen. This wasn't just a creative decision, as Academy offers co-op with up to 4 players. I've never experienced this myself, but I can imagine that it would be chaotic with all the switching. For what I did play, the game is fine. The gameplay is more akin to the first game, including the graphics being borrowed from it, as is the music. The most unique thing the game does differently gameplay-wise is that if you fall at the bottom of the screen, you'll spawn at the top screen, meaning you can sometimes find yourself in an infinite fall loop. It's funny, but if that's really the one thing I'm remembering from this game, is it really a good game? Otherwise, there's not a whole lot I can say about this game. They gave us Patty in a cute school uniform, and that's about it. I don't want to sound too negative, but these 2 spin-offs don't do much for this franchise. At least not for me. So why don't we wrap this up? After the release of Academy, things were quiet for the Mighty Switch Force franchise for 4 years, as in 2019 we saw the release of the Mighty Switch Force Collection, a collection featuring the first game, Hyperdrive Edition, the second game, and Academy. That very collection is how I recorded all of the games outside of Hose It Down. It's a solid collection that you can get on PlayStation 4, Steam, and Nintendo Switch. I mean, I did buy the physical copy for my Switch, as well as my previously mentioned vinyl soundtrack, and this cute pin of Patty. Look at her. She's so adorable. It felt nice to have some sort of physical representation for the series, even if it did come from them. Other than that, there was a DLC added to Shantae Half Genie Hero that sees Shantae dressed as Patty, and has a whole campaign that's based off of Mighty Switch Force, where you save Shantae's friends dressed as the Hooligan Sisters. It's a fun DLC that was included in a pack with 2 other campaigns, so it's worth the price for sure. Patty's last appearance to date is 2022's River City Girls 2, where she runs a shop. They even got her original voice actress, Stephanie Kamour, to reprise her role. It's a cute Easter egg for the loyal fans of the franchise. Other than that, that's the end of Patricia Wagon's tale. At least for now. I think it would be a great idea for WayForward to bring the bubbly servant of justice back for another adventure. I'd say she's well overdue for one. This franchise defied a huge part of my late high school days during the 3DS and Wii U era of Nintendo. And it's clear that WayForward hasn't forgotten about her. She keeps finding ways to make cameos in other games. And she's often featured in various pieces of art the company puts up on her social media accounts. If there's anything you can take away from this video, I hope it's that you'll consider buying the collection and giving these games a try. At the very least, the first 2 games in Hyperdrive Edition are well worth playing. It's a franchise with creative puzzles, short but fun levels, killer soundtracks, and are oozing with charm. I salute to you, Officer Wagon.